What if I told you that a simple 1975 D Lincoln penny could secretly be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars depending on a few hidden details? Imagine holding a coin that millions of people ignore every day, yet collectors are willing to pay serious money for it just because of a small mistake made decades ago at the mint. The truth is, not all pennies are created equal, and the 1975 D Lincoln cent is one of those coins where ordinary turns extraordinary if you know exactly what to look for. This is the story of the Liberty 1 cent 1975 D Lincoln penny, a coin born in an era when billions were produced, yet a handful stand out today as prized treasures in the world of coin collecting. At first glance, it seems impossible that something so common could ever become valuable, but history, minting errors, and the passage of time have transformed certain examples of this coin into hidden gems that continue to surprise collectors. The 1975 D Lincoln penny was minted in the United States during a period when copper coins were still widely produced using a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This alone gives the coin a base intrinsic value slightly above its face value because of the copper content, although melting coins is restricted. Still, the real fascination lies not in the metal, but in the story behind how these coins were made and how small imperfections turned them into collectibles. In 1975, the Denver Mint produced over 4.5 billion Lincoln pennies, each bearing the small D mint mark beneath the date, indicating its origin. This massive production run means that, in general, the coin is extremely common. Most examples found in circulation today are only worth their face value or just slightly more, often just a few cents depending on condition. But that's where the ordinary narrative ends, because within this ocean of coins lies a much more exciting reality. Condition plays a crucial role in determining the value of a 1975 D penny. Coins that have circulated for decades often show wear, scratches, and discoloration, reducing their appeal to collectors. However, coins that have been preserved in mint condition, with sharp details and a bright red luster, can command significantly higher prices. Some high-grade examples graded at the top levels of preservation can reach values of over $100 or more. Yet, even these pristine coins are not the true stars of the 1975 D series. The real excitement begins when errors enter the picture. Minting errors are essentially mistakes made during the production process, and in the world of coin collecting, mistakes often mean money. One of the most fascinating error types associated with the 1975 D penny is the double die error. This occurs when the coin's design is imprinted more than once at slightly different angles, creating a noticeable doubling effect in the lettering or numbers. On a 1975 penny, this might appear on the date, the word liberty, or the phrase "I am God we trust." Depending on the clarity and condition, such errors can increase the coin's value dramatically, sometimes reaching hundreds of dollars. Another error that collectors actively seek is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned during the striking process, resulting in a design that is partially missing. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more valuable the coin becomes. A moderately off-center 1975 D penny might be worth tens of dollars, while a more extreme example can climb well into the hundreds. Clipped planchet errors add another layer of intrigue. These occur when the metal blank used to create the coin is improperly cut, leaving a portion missing before the coin is even struck. The result is a coin with a distinctive curved or straight missing section along its edge. Such coins are highly collectible and can fetch substantial premiums depending on the size and shape of the clip. Die cracks and cuts are also important to consider. As minting dies wear out over time, they can develop cracks or even break partially. These imperfections are transferred onto the coins, appearing as raised lines or blobs. While minor cracks might only add a small premium, larger and more dramatic cuts can significantly increase a coin's value, sometimes reaching hundreds of dollars depending on their size and placement. One of the more unusual and valuable errors is the wrong planchet error. In rare cases, a 1975 D penny might be struck on a blank intent for a different coin, such as a dime. This results in a coin that looks noticeably different in size, weight, or color. These rare mistakes are highly prized and can sell for hundreds of dollars or more in higher grades. Capped die errors are another fascinating variety. These occur when a coin sticks to the die during the minting process, causing subsequent coins to be struck with distorted or blurry designs. Some of these error coins have sold for significant amounts, especially when the distortion is dramatic and the coin is well preserved. Even smaller errors, like the so-called BE error, where a tiny mark appears between the letters B and E in Liberty, can add collectible value. While these are generally less valuable than major errors, they still attract attention from collectors and can sell for modest premiums. Despite all these possibilities, it is important to understand that not every 1975 D penny is valuable. The vast majority are still worth only a few cents. This is largely due to the enormous number of coins produced, which keeps supply high and prices low. However, the key difference lies in rarity within that abundance. A single unusual feature, a tiny mistake, or an exceptional level of preservation can transform an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. The historical context of the 1975 Lincoln penny also adds to its appeal. This coin is part of the Lincoln Memorial Series, which ran from 1959 to 2008. The obverse features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse depicts the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. This design was deeply symbolic, representing American heritage and unity during a time of economic and social change. During the mid-1970s, the United States was navigating inflation, rising metal costs, and experimentation with alternative coin compositions. Although most 1975 pennies were still made of copper, the period marked the beginning of discussions that would eventually lead to changes in coin composition in the early 1980s. This transitional context makes the 1975 penny part of a broader story about the evolution of American currency. Collectors are often drawn to coins not just for their monetary value, but for the stories they tell. The 1975 D penny is a perfect example of this. It represents a moment in time when billions of coins were produced for everyday use, yet a small number escaped the ordinary path due to tiny errors or exceptional preservation. The thrill of finding a valuable 1975 D penny lies in the hunt. Many collectors search through rolls of coins, jars of spare change, and even old collections inherited from family members, hoping to discover that one rare piece that stands out from the rest. The idea that such a valuable item could be hiding in plain sight is part of what makes coin collecting so exciting. Market demand also plays a significant role in determining value. As more people become interested in coin collecting, the demand for rare and unusual coins increases. This can drive up prices, especially for coins with unique features or limited availability. At the same time, the market can fluctuate, meaning that values are not always and can change over time. Grading is another crucial factor. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on their condition and assign them a grade, which can significantly impact their value. A small difference in grade can mean a big difference in price, especially for high-end coins. This is why collectors often seek certified coins, as they provide a level of assurance regarding authenticity and quality. It is also worth noting that the appeal of the 1975 D penny extends beyond its monetary value. For many collectors, the joy comes from the process of learning, discovering, and preserving pieces of history. Each coin tells a story, and the 1975 D penny is no exception. There is something uniquely fascinating about the idea that a simple mistake during the minting process can create something valuable. It challenges the notion of perfection and highlights how imperfections can sometimes be more desirable than flawless creations. The 1975 D Lincoln penny serves as a reminder that value is not always obvious. It is not determined solely by what something appears to be, but by its rarity, condition, and the story behind it. In a world where most things are mass-produced and easily replaced, the idea that a small, overlooked coin can hold significant value is both surprising and inspiring. As you look at your own coins, it becomes clear that the real treasure is not just in the coin itself, but in the knowledge of what to look for. Understanding the different types of errors, recognizing the importance of condition, and appreciating the history behind each coin can transform the way you see even the most ordinary objects. The next time you come across a 1975 D Lincoln penny, take a closer look. Examine the details, check for unusual features, and consider its condition. You might just discover that what you thought was worth 1 cent is actually worth much more. And that is the true magic of coin collecting. It turns everyday objects into mysteries waiting to be solved, treasures waiting to be discovered, and stories waiting to be told. That single penny lying quietly in your hand might look like nothing more than a piece of loose change. But what if that ordinary 1977 D Lincoln penny you've ignored for years is actually hiding a value far greater than 1 cent? What if a tiny detail, a slight mistake, or a nearly invisible flaw could transform it into a coin collectors are willing to pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars to own? The reality is surprising, because in the world of coin collecting, small differences can create massive value, and the 1977 D Lincoln penny is one of those coins where the ordinary can suddenly become extraordinary. This is the story of the Liberty 1 cent 1977 D Lincoln penny, a coin that was produced in massive numbers but still holds secrets that continue to excite collectors today. It is a coin that represents a time when billions were made for everyday use, yet only a few stand out as valuable treasures. Understanding why this happens requires looking deeper into its history, its production, and the unique errors that give it a completely different worth from its face value. The 1977 D Lincoln penny was minted in the United States at the Denver Mint, marked by the small letter D below the date. In that single year, more than 4.1 billion of these pennies were produced, making it one of the most common coins in circulation. This massive mintage means that most examples you find today are still worth only 1 cent or just slightly more. Many can be found in circulation even today, worn down from decades of use, carrying scratches, dull surfaces, and faded details that reduce their appeal to collectors. But this is only the surface of the story. Because while billions were produced, not all of them are equal. A small percentage of these coins possess qualities that elevate them far beyond their face value. These qualities come from 3 main factors: condition, rarity, and minting errors. When these factors combine in the right way, the value of a 1977 penny can increase dramatically. The coin itself belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Series, which was produced from 1959 to 2008. On the front, it features the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, one of the most recognizable figures in American history. On the back, the Lincoln Memorial stands as a symbol of unity and national identity. By 1977, this design had already become a familiar part of everyday life, appearing in millions of transactions across the country. During this time, the composition of the penny was still primarily copper, made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition gives the coin a distinctive reddish color when new, known as its original red luster. Over time, exposure to air and handling causes the surface to darken, turning red to red-brown and eventually to brown. This change in color plays a surprisingly important role in determining the coin's value. Collectors categorize pennies based on this color scale. Red coins that retain their original mint shine are the most valuable. Red-brown coins are less desirable but still collectible. Brown coins, which have fully aged, are the least valuable among collectors. This means that two identical 1977D pennies can have completely different values simply based on their color and condition. Condition is measured using a grading system that ranges from heavily worn coins to those in perfect mint state. A typical circulated 1977D penny might only be worth a few cents. However, a high-grade example in near-perfect condition can be worth much more. Some mint state coins have been valued at tens or even hundreds of dollars depending on their quality. In extremely rare cases, the value can become astonishing. A 1977D penny in nearly flawless condition with full red color has sold for over $7,000 at auction. This dramatic increase in value shows how powerful condition can be in the world of coin collecting. It transforms a common coin into a rare collectible simply because so few examples survive in perfect form. But even this level of value is not the most exciting part of the 1977D penny story. The real fascination lies in the errors that occur during the minting process. These errors are essentially mistakes made when the coin is being produced, and in many cases, they create unique coins that collectors are eager to find. One of the most well-known errors is the double die error. This happens when the design of the coin is imprinted more than once at slightly different angles, creating a visible doubling effect. On a 1977D penny, this can often be seen in the date, the word liberty, or the phrase "I am God we trust." These errors can significantly increase the coin's value, sometimes reaching between $25 and $100 or more depending on how strong the doubling appears. Another interesting error is the double-punched mint mark. During the 1970s, mint marks were added by hand, which sometimes resulted in the letter being stamped more than once. This creates a noticeable doubling or shifting of the mint mark. These coins are collectible and can sell for several dollars or more depending on their condition. Off-center strikes are another type of error that collectors actively search for. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during the striking process, causing part of the design to be missing. The more off-center the coin is while still showing the full date, the more valuable it becomes. These coins can sell for anywhere from $20 to over $100 depending on the severity of the error. There are also clipped planchet errors, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a mistake in cutting the metal blank before striking. These coins have a distinctive curved or straight missing section along the edge and are considered highly collectible. Their value depends on the size and visibility of the missing portion. The BIE error is another subtle but interesting variety. This appears as a small raised line between the letters B and E in the word liberty, making it look like the letter I has been inserted. While this is a minor error, it is still collectible and can add a small premium to the coin's value. More dramatic errors include coins struck on the wrong planchet. For example, a 1977 penny might accidentally be struck on a blank intended for a different coin, such as a dime. These coins are extremely rare and can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars because of their unusual size, weight, or appearance. There are also die cracks and cuts, which occur when the minting die becomes damaged over time. These defects appear as raised lines or blobs on the coin's surface. While small cracks might only add a modest premium, larger and more noticeable ones can significantly increase the coin's value. Despite all these possibilities, it is important to understand that the vast majority of 1977 D pennies are still common. Most are worth only their face value because of the enormous number that were produced. However, the key to finding a valuable coin lies in recognizing the rare features that set certain coins apart from the rest. The historical context of the 1977 D penny also adds to its appeal. During the 1970s, rising copper prices brought the cost of producing pennies close to their face value. This economic pressure eventually led to a change in composition in 1982, when pennies began to be made primarily of zinc. This makes the 1977 penny part of the final era of traditional copper coinage, adding to its historical significance. For collectors, the appeal of the 1977 D penny goes beyond its monetary value. It represents a connection to the past, a piece of history that has passed through countless hands over the decades. Each coin carries its own story, shaped by where it has been and how it has been used. The excitement of coin collecting comes from the possibility that something valuable could be hidden in plain sight. A simple penny found in a jar, a drawer, or even in everyday change could turn out to be worth far more unexpected. This sense of discovery is what keeps collectors searching and learning. The market for coins is also influenced by collecting. As more people become interested in collecting, the demand for rare and unusual coins increases. This can drive up prices, especially for coins with unique features or limited availability. At the same time, values can fluctuate based on market trends, making coin collecting both a hobby and a form of investment. Grading plays a crucial role in determining value. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on their condition and assign them a grade. Even a small difference in grade can result in a significant difference in value, especially for coins at the higher end of the scale. This is why collectors often seek certified coins, as they provide confidence in the coin's authenticity and quality. The 1977 D Lincoln penny is a perfect example of how value is not always obvious. It shows that even the most common objects can become valuable under the right circumstances. A small mistake, a rare feature, or exceptional preservation can turn an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. It also highlights the importance of knowledge. Understanding what to look for allows collectors to identify valuable coins that others might overlook. This knowledge transforms the way people see everyday objects, turning something as simple as a penny into a potential treasure. As you go through your own coins, it becomes clear that the real value lies not just in the coin itself, but in the possibility it represents. The possibility that something small and ordinary could hold hidden worth. The possibility that a simple mistake could create something unique and valuable. The 1977 D Lincoln penny reminds us that value is not always determined by what something appears to be. It is shaped by rarity, condition, and the story behind it. And sometimes, the smallest details can make the biggest difference. So the next time you come across a 1977 D penny, don't just see it as one cent look closer. Check the details. Examine the surface. Because hidden within that small piece of copper could be something far more valuable than you ever imagined. That tiny coin sitting forgotten in your pocket, lost between receipts and dust, might look like nothing more than a single cent. But what if that ordinary 1978 Lincoln penny is hiding a secret value that most people never notice? What if a small minting mistake, a slight misalignment, or an unusual detail could turn the that simple coin into something collectors are willing to pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars for. The truth is, coins like the 1978 Lincoln penny are full of hidden potential, and the difference between 1 cent and a small fortune often comes down to the smallest details. This is the story of the Liberty 1 cent 1978 Lincoln penny, a coin that millions of people have handled without a second thought, yet one that holds surprising value under the right circumstances. It is a coin born in an era of massive production, where billions were struck for everyday use, but where a few rare examples stand out as valuable treasures because of their condition, their rarity, and most importantly, their errors. The 1978 Lincoln penny was produced during a time when the United States Mint was operating at extremely high capacity. In that single year, nearly 10 billion pennies were minted across different facilities, making it one of the most common coins ever produced. Because of this enormous mintage, the majority of these coins are still only worth their face value of 1 cent. Many can still be found in circulation today, worn down from decades of use, their surfaces scratched and faded, their original shine long gone. But this is where the ordinary story ends and the real fascination begins. Because while billions of these coins exist, only a small fraction possess the qualities that make them valuable. These qualities are not immediately obvious, and they often require a careful eye to detect. Yet once identified, they can transform a simple coin into something far more significant. The 1978 Lincoln penny belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Series, which ran from 1959 to 2008. The front of the coin features the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has become one of the most recognizable images in American currency. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of history and national identity. By 1978, this design had become deeply familiar, appearing in everyday transactions across the country. At that time, pennies were still made primarily of copper, consisting of 95% copper and a small percentage of zinc and tin. This composition gives the coin an intrinsic metal value slightly above its face value. In fact, even a common 1978 penny can be worth about 2 cents simply because of its copper content. While this may not seem significant, it establishes a baseline value that already exceeds the coin's original purpose. However, the real value of a 1978 penny lies not in its metal, but in its condition and its uniqueness. Coins are graded based on their level of preservation, ranging from heavily worn examples to those in perfect mint condition. Most coins found in circulation fall in the lower end of this scale, with values close to 1 cent. But coins that have been preserved in excellent condition can command much higher prices. A typical uncirculated 1978 penny might be worth a few dollars, while higher grade examples can reach values of $20 or more. In extremely rare cases, coins in near perfect condition have sold for thousands of dollars at auction. This dramatic increase in value highlights the importance of preservation and rarity in the world of coin collecting. Yet even these high-grade coins are not the most exciting part of the 1978 penny story. The true fascination comes from minting errors. These are mistakes that occur during the production process, and they can transform an ordinary coin into something unique and highly collectible. One of the most visually striking errors is the offset mistake. This happens when the coin does not properly align during the minting process, resulting in a design that is partially missing. Depending on how far off center the strike is, these coins can be worth anywhere from a few dozen dollars to several $100s. The more dramatic the error, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible. Double strike errors are another fascinating variety. These occur when a coin is struck more than once, creating overlapping images that give the coin a distorted appearance. Some of these coins show two distinct impressions of the design, making them highly desirable among collectors. Depending on the severity, these errors can sell for hundreds of dollars. Die breaks and cuts add another layer of interest. Over time, the dies used to strike coins can develop cracks or even break apart. When this happens, the defects are transferred onto the coins, appearing as raised lines or blobs. Minor die breaks may only add a small point, or dramatic examples that significantly increase in coins. Filled in letters and mint marks are also common errors for 1978 pennies. These occur when grease or debris prevents metal from fully filling the design during striking. For example, a 1978 penny might have a partially or completely filled in mint mark, making the letter difficult to see. These coins can sell for anywhere from $15 to $75 depending on their condition and the number of affected letters. Repunched mint marks are another collectible feature. During this period, mint marks were sometimes applied by hand, which could result in multiple impressions of the same letter. This creates a visible doubling effect that collectors find appealing. Depending on the clarity of the doubling, these coins can range from modest premiums to more significant values. One of the most valuable types of errors is the wrong planche error. This occurs when a coin is struck on a blank intended for a different denomination. For example, a 1978 penny might be struck on a nickel planche, resulting in a coin with a different size, weight, and composition. These rare mistakes can be worth thousands of dollars because of their uniqueness. Broad strike errors are another interesting variety. These occur when the coin normally holds the coin in place during striking phase, allowing the metal to spread out beyond its normal boundaries. The result is a coin that is larger and thinner than usual, with a distorted shape. These coins can sell for significant premiums depending on how pronounced the error is. Double die errors also play a role in the value of 1978 pennies. This occurs when the design is imprinted more than once at slightly different angles, creating a doubling effect in the lettering or numbers. While many double die errors for this year are relatively minor, they can still add value, especially in higher grade coins. Despite all these possibilities, it is important to understand that most 1978 pennies are still common. The sheer number of coins produced ensures that supply remains high, keeping prices low for ordinary examples. However, the key difference lies in rarity within that abundance. A single unusual feature, a small mistake, or exceptional preservation can make a significant difference in value. The historical context of the 1978 penny adds another layer of interest. This coin was produced during a time when rising metal costs were beginning to impact the production of coins. Just a few years later, in 1982, the composition of the penny would change to a zinc core with a thin copper coating. This makes the 1978 penny part of the final generation of traditional copper coins, giving it additional significance among collectors. For many people, the appeal of the 1978 Lincoln penny goes beyond its monetary value. It represents a connection to the past, a tangible piece of history that has passed through countless hands over the decades. Each coin carries its own story, shaped by where it has been and how it has been used. The excitement of coin collecting comes from the possibility of discovery. The idea that something valuable could be hiding in plain sight is what drives collectors to search through jars of coins, rolls from the bank, and old collections. The 1978 penny is a perfect example of this, because while most are ordinary, a few are truly extraordinary. Market demand also plays a role in determining value. As more people become interested in coin collecting, the demand for rare and unusual coins increases. This can drive up prices, especially for coins with unique features or limited availability. At the same time, values can fluctuate, making the market both dynamic and unpredictable. Grading is another crucial factor. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on their condition and assign them a grade. Even a small difference in grade can result in a significant difference in value, especially for coins at the higher end of the scale. This is why collectors often seek certified coins, as they provide confidence in the coin's authenticity and quality. The 1978 Lincoln penny serves as a reminder that value is not always obvious. It shows that even the most common objects can become valuable under the right circumstances. A small mistake, a rare feature, or exceptional preservation can transform an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. It also highlights the importance of knowledge. Understanding what to look for allows collectors to identify valuable coins that others might overlook. This knowledge changes the way people see everyday objects, turning something as simple as a penny into a potential treasure. As you examine your own coins, you begin to realize that the real value lies not just in the coin itself, but in the possibilities it represents. The possibility that something small and ordinary could hold hidden worth. The possibility that a simple mistake could create something unique and valuable. The 1978 Lincoln penny is more than just a piece of currency. It is a symbol of history, a product of mass production, and at the same time, a source of rare and valuable discoveries. It reminds us that value is not always determined by appearance, but by rarity, condition, and the story behind it. So the next time you find a 1978 penny in your pocket, don't dismiss it as just 1 cent. Take a closer look. Examine the details. Check for unusual features. Because hidden within that small copper coin could be something far more valuable than you ever imagined. That tiny copper coin sitting in your pocket right now might look like nothing more than 1 cent. But what if I told you that a simple 1975 Lincoln penny could secretly be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars depending on a few hidden details? Imagine holding a coin that millions of people ignore every day, yet collectors are willing to pay serious money for it just because of a small mistake made decades ago at the mint. The truth is, not all pennies are created equal, and the 1975 Lincoln cent is one of those coins where ordinary turns extraordinary if you know exactly what to look for. This is the story of the Liberty 1 cent 1975 Lincoln penny, a coin born in an era when billions were produced, yet a handful stand out today as prized treasures in the world of coin collecting. At first glance, it seems impossible that something so common could ever become valuable, but history, minting errors, and the passage of time have transformed certain examples of this coin into hidden gems that continue to surprise collectors. The 1975 Lincoln penny was minted in the United States during a period when copper coins were still widely produced using a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This alone gives the coin a base intrinsic value slightly above its face value because of the copper content, although melting coins is restricted. Still, the real fascination lies not in the metal, but in the story behind how these coins were made and how small imperfections turned them into collectibles. In 1975, the Denver Mint produced over 4.5 billion Lincoln pennies, each bearing a small D mint mark beneath the date, indicating its origin. This massive production run means that, in general, the coin is extremely common. Most examples found in circulation today are only worth their face value or just slightly more, often just a few cents depending on condition. But that's where the ordinary narrative ends. because within this ocean of coins lies a much more exciting reality.
अच्छा
Condition plays a crucial role in determining the value of a 1975 D penny. Coins that have circulated for decades often show wear, scratches, and discoloration, reducing their appeal to collectors. However, coins that have been preserved in mint condition, with sharp details and a bright red luster, can command significantly higher prices. Some high-grade examples graded at the top levels of preservation can reach values of over $100 or more. Yet, even these pristine coins are not the true stars of the 1975 D series.
अच्छा
The real excitement begins with errors in interpretation. Minting errors are essentially mistakes made during the production process, and in the world of coin collecting, mistakes often mean nothing. One of the most fascinating error types associated with the 1975 D penny is the level diorama.
अच्छा
This occurs when the coin's design is painted more than once at slightly different angles,
ठीक है
creating a noticeable doubling effect of the lettering or numbers. On a 1975 penny, this might appear on the date, the word liberty, or the phrase "I am God we trust." Depending on the clarity and condition, such errors can increase the coin's value dramatically, sometimes reaching hundreds of dollars. Another error that collectors actively seek is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned during the striking process, resulting in a design that is partially missing. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more valuable the coin becomes. A moderately off-center 1975 D penny might be worth tens of dollars, while a more extreme example can climb well into the hundreds. Clipped planchet errors add another layer of intrigue. These occur when the metal blank used to create the coin is improperly cut, leaving a portion missing before the coin is even struck. The result is a coin with a distinctive curve to a straight missing section along its edge. Such coins are highly collectible and can fetch substantial premiums depending on the size and shape of the clip. Die cracks and cuts are also important to consider. As minting dies wear out over time, they can develop cracks or even break partially. These imperfections are transferred onto the coins, appearing as raised lines or blobs. While minor cracks might only add a small premium, larger and more dramatic cuts can significantly increase a coin's value, sometimes reaching hundreds of dollars depending on their size and placement. One of the more unusual and valuable errors is the wrong planchet error. In rare cases, a 1975 D penny might be struck on a blank intended for a different coin, such as a dime. This results in a coin that looks noticeably different in size, weight, or color. These rare mistakes are highly prized and can sell for hundreds of dollars or more in higher grades. Capped die errors are another fascinating variety. These occur when the coin sticks to the die during the minting process, causing subsequent coins to be struck with distorted or blurry designs. Some of these error coins have sold for significant amounts, especially when the distortion is dramatic and the coin is well preserved. Even smaller errors, like the so-called BE error, where a tiny mark appears between the letters B and E in Liberty, can add collectible value. While these are generally less valuable than major errors, they still attract attention from collectors and can sell for modest premiums. Despite all these possibilities, it is important to understand that not every 1975 D penny is valuable. The vast majority are still worth only a few cents. This is largely due to the enormous number of coins produced, which keeps supply high and prices low. However, the key difference lies in rarity within that abundance. A single unusual feature, a tiny mistake, or an exceptional level of preservation can transform an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. The historical context of the 1975 Lincoln penny also adds to its appeal. This coin is part of the Lincoln Memorial Series, which ran from 1959 to 2008. The obverse features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse depicts the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. This design is deeply symbolic, representing American heritage and unity during a time of economic and social change. During the mid-1970s, the United States was navigating inflation, rising metal costs, and experimentation with alternative coin compositions. Although most 1975 pennies were still made of copper, the period marked the beginning of discussions that would eventually lead to changes in coin composition in the early 1980s. This transitional context makes the 1975 penny part of a broader story about the evolution of American currency. Collectors are often drawn to coins not just for the monetary value, but for the stories they tell. The 1975 penny is a perfect example of this. It represents a moment in time when millions of coins were produced for everyday use, yet a small number escaped the ordinary path due to tiny errors or exceptional preservation. The thrill of finding a valuable 1975 penny is evident. Many collectors search through rolls of coins, jars of spare change, and even old collections of valuable family members, hoping to discover that one rare piece that stands out from the rest. The idea that such a valuable item could be hiding in plain sight is part of what makes coin collecting so exciting. Market demand also plays a significant role in determining value. As more people become interested in coin collecting, the demand for rare and unusual coins increases. This can drive up prices, especially for coins with unique features or limited availability. At the same time, the market can fluctuate, meaning the values of coins can change over time. Grading is another crucial factor. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on the condition and the sign of the grade, which can significantly impact their value. A small difference in grade can mean a big difference in price, especially for high-end coins. This is why collectors often seek certified coins, as they provide a level of assurance regarding authenticity and quality. It is also worth noting that the appeal of the 1975 penny extends beyond its monetary value. For many collectors, the joy comes from the process of learning, discovering, and preserving pieces of history. Each coin tells a story, and the 1975 penny is no exception. There is something uniquely fascinating about the idea that a simple mistake during the minting process can create something valuable. It challenges the notion of perfection and highlights how imperfections can sometimes be more desirable than flawless creations. The 1975 penny serves as a reminder that value has no always obvious. It is not determined solely by what something appears to be, but by its rarity, condition, and the story behind it. In a world where most things are mass-produced and easily replaced, the idea that a small, overlooked coin can hold significant value is both surprising and inspiring. As you look at your own coins, it becomes clear that the real treasure is not just in the coin itself, but in the knowledge of what to look for. Understanding the different types of errors, recognizing the importance of condition, and appreciating the history behind each coin transform the way you see even the most ordinary things. The next time you come across a 1975 take a closer look. Examine the details, check for unusual features, and consider its condition. You might just discover that what you thought was worth 1 cent is actually worth much more. And that is the true magic of coin collecting. It turns everyday objects into mysteries waiting to be solved, treasures waiting to be discovered, and stories waiting to be told. That single penny lying quietly in your hand might look like nothing more than a piece of loose change. But what if that ordinary 1977 Lincoln penny you've ignored years is actually hiding a value far greater than 1 cent. What if a tiny detail, a slight mistake, or a nearly invisible flaw could transform it into a coin collectors are willing to pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars to own? The reality is surprising, because in the world of coin collecting, small differences can create massive value. And the 1977 Lincoln penny is one of those coins where the ordinary can suddenly become extraordinary. This is the story of the literally 1 cent 1977 Lincoln penny.
Almost that my call कितने बाल है?
But still holds secrets that continue to excite collectors today. It is a coin that represents a time when billions were made for everyday use, yet only a few stand out as valuable treasures. Understanding why this happens requires looking deeper into its history, its production, and the unique errors that give it a completely different worth from its face value. The 1977 Lincoln penny was minted in the United States at the Denver Mint, marked by the small letter D below the date. In that single year, more than 4.1 billion of these pennies were produced, making it one of the most common coins in circulation. This massive mintage means that most examples you find today are still worth only 1 cent or just slightly more. Many can be found in circulation even today, worn down from decades of use, carrying scratches, dull surfaces, and faded details that reduce their appeal to collectors. But this is only the surface of the story. Because while billions were produced, not all of them are equal. A small percentage of these coins possess qualities that elevate them far beyond their face value. These qualities come from 3 main factors: condition, rarity, and minting errors. When these factors combine in the right way, the value of a 1977 D penny can increase dramatically. The coin itself belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Series, which was produced from 1959 to 2008. On the front, it features the portrait of Abraham, one of the most recognizable figures in American history. On the back, the Lincoln Memorial stands as a symbol of unity and national identity. By 1977, this design had already become a familiar part of everyday life, carrying millions of transactions across the country. During this time, the composition of the penny was still primarily copper, made of 95% silver. This composition gives the coin a distinctive reddish color when new, known as its original red luster. Over time, exposure to air and oiling causes the surface to darken, turning red to red and eventually to brown. This change in color plays a surprising role in the is based on this color scale. Red coins that retain their original shine are the most valuable. Red brown coins are less desirable but still brown coins, which are fully aged, are the least valuable among collectors. This means that 2 identical 1977 coins can have completely different values based on their color and condition. Condition is measured using a grading system that ranges from heavily worn coins to those in perfect mint state. A typical circulated 1977 D penny might only be worth a few cents. However, a high-grade example may be a perfect condition. Some mint state coins have been valued at tens or even hundreds of dollars depending on their quality. In extremely rare cases, the value of the coin is astonishing.
गुड ये क्या इसके अंदर है बिस्किट इसके अंदर रख दिए थे
इसके अंदर डाल दिए फिर हमने जैसे किया मुझे
ना
मुझे जैसे हमने पिया आगे जब में चिड़ी तो बेस करने लगा
अच्छा ये भी पी लो फिर क्या नहीं ऐसा करो अब ना को खराब होना हाँ बुपा वाटर मैं देता
खराब भी होया पड़ा ऐसे तो पी ले फिर हमें अभी
पी लो ऐसा
पी ले
हाँ जी
सही हमने भी कुछ डाला अभी
Mistakes made when the coin is being produced, and in many cases, they create
पी लो ऐसे ऐसे यहाँ पे नहीं उधर जाके यहाँ पे गिर ना जाए
one of the most well-known.
मैं देती हूँ बस 1 मिनट
This design of the coin is imprinted more than once in slightly different colors, creating a visible double effect. On a 1977 D penny, this can often be seen
हाँ
in
जी
the word liberty or the phrase "I in God we trust."
मैं
These
करना
errors can
एक मिनट
significantly increase the cost, sometimes reaching between
नहीं वो पी ला
$5,000 or more depending on how strong the double appears. Another interesting error is the
हाँ जी
double punched.
तुम्हारी गाल करा सब
During the 1970s, mint marks were added by hand, which sometimes resulted in the letter being stamped more than once.
नहीं तो मैं बैग रख दो
This creates a noticeable doubling or shifting of the mint mark. These coins are collectible and can sell for several dollars or more depending on the condition. Off-center strikes are another type of error that collectors actively search for. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during the striking process, causing part of the design to be missing. The more off-center
Mama, yes,
coin is
no.
while still showing the full date, the more valuable it becomes.
ना अब्दुल्ला
These
ला
coins
Yes,
can
Mama.
sell for anywhere from
मैं अब्दुल्ले को
$20
बाबा
to
कर दूँ
$100 severity. There are also clipped planchet errors, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a mistake in having a metal tab before striking.
70
These coins have a distinctive curved or straight missing section along the edge.
60, 70. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Their
8,
value
9, 10,
depends on the size and visibility of the
6,
missing
7,
portion. The BID error is another
Mama,
subject
16 or 17.
This appears as a small raised line between the letters behind the
Your
word liberty,
last.
making it look like the letter I
3,
have
4,
seen.
34.
While this is a
Maybe your
minor, it's
last.
still collectible.
मैंने आपको 2 बुकों का सुना दिया
नहीं मैंने अभी
More dramatic errors.
अब देख सकते हैं
For example, a 1977 penny might accidentally be struck on a blank intended for a different coin, such as a dime.
ना वेग
These coins are extremely rare and can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars because of their unusual size, weight, or appearance. There are also die cracks in the coins, which occur when the printed die becomes
नहीं
damaged
और
over
पास
time.
लग दो 4 पाई बाहर रखने
These defects appear as raised
चलो ये लो
lines or
वाटर
blobs
टिकट
on the coin's surface.
कर लो
While small cracks might only
I'll take
affect
a
honest
look.
premium, larger and
Is
more
there
noticeable
name?
coins can significantly increase the coin's value.
इसने क्या इसे तो इसने है
Despite all these
What is
possibilities,
the
it is
nobody
important to
name?
understand
Is
that
the
the vast majority of
name?
1970 coins are still counterfeit. Most are worth only their face value because of the enormous number produced. However, the key to finding a valuable coin lies in recognizing the rare features that set certain coins apart.
मेरे मोबाइल बैलेंस को
During the 1970s, rising copper
नहीं ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਸਿਗਮਾ ਪਾਈਆਂ
This economic pressure eventually led to a change
ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਦੋਵੇਂ ਸੀਮਾ ਬੰਦ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਸੌਫਟਵੇਅਰ
in
ਕਰਾਉਣਾ
primarily the same.
WhatsApp ਤੇ ਕੰਮ
This makes the 1977 part of the final era of traditional For collectors, the appeal of the 1977 it represents a connection to the past, a piece of history that has passed through countless hands over the decades. Each coin carries its own story, shaped by what it has been and how it has been used. The excitement of
चलो इधर आओ उसके पास
which could turn out to be worth far more.
इधर आओ इधर आ जाओ उधर आओ
Market for coins is also influenced.
अच्छा आप भी इधर आओ ना
As more
अब्दुल्ला
people become interested in collecting, the demand for rare and unusual
इतने
coins increases.
खाला में से
This
देखो
can
बैग
drive
है
prices, especially for coins with unique features or limited availability.
रखो अब्दुल्ला
At the same time, Values can fluctuate based on market trends, making coin collecting both a hobby and a form of investment. Grading plays a crucial role in determining value. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on their condition and assign them a grade. Even a small difference in grade can result in a significant difference in value, especially for coins at the higher end of the scale. This is why collectors often seek certified coins, as they provide confidence in the coin's authenticity and quality. The 1977 Lincoln penny is a perfect example of how value is not always obvious. It shows that even the most common objects can become valuable under the right circumstances. A small mistake, a rare feature, or exceptional preservation can turn an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. It also highlights the importance of knowledge. Understanding what to look for allows collectors to identify valuable coins that others might overlook. This knowledge transforms the way people see everyday objects, turning something as simple as a penny into a potential treasure. As you go through your own coins, it becomes clear that the real value lies not just in the coin itself, but in the possibility it represents. The possibility that something small and ordinary could hold hidden worth. The possibility that a simple mistake could create something unique and valuable. The 1977 Lincoln penny reminds us that value is not always determined by what something appears to be. It is shaped by rarity, condition, and the story behind it. And sometimes, the smallest details can make the biggest difference. So the next time you come across a 1977 penny, don't just see it as 1 cent but closer. Check the details. Examine the surface. Because hidden within that small piece of copper could be something far more valuable than you ever imagined. That tiny coin sitting forgotten in your pocket, lost between receipts and dust, might look like nothing more than a single cent. But what if that ordinary 1978 Lincoln penny is hiding a secret value that most people never notice? What if a small minting mistake, a slight misalignment, or an unusual detail could turn that simple coin into something collectors are willing to pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars for? The truth is, coins like the 1978 Lincoln penny are full of hidden potential, and the difference between 1 cent and a small fortune often comes down to the smallest details. This is the story of the Liberty 1 cent 1978 Lincoln penny, a coin that millions of people have handled without a second thought, yet one that holds surprising value under the right circumstances. It is a coin born in an era of massive production, where billions were struck for everyday use, but where a few rare examples stand out as valuable treasures because of their condition, their rarity, and most importantly, their errors. The 1978 Lincoln penny was produced during a time when the United States Mint was operating at extremely high capacity. In that single year, nearly 10 billion pennies were minted across different facilities, making it one of the most common coins ever produced. Because of this enormous mintage, the majority of these coins are still only worth their face value of 1 cent. Many can still be found in circulation today, worn down from decades of use, their surfaces scratched and faded, their original shine long gone. But this is where the ordinary story ends and the real fascination begins. Because while billions of these coins exist, only a small fraction possess the qualities that make them valuable. These qualities are not immediately obvious, and they often require a careful eye to detect. Yet once identified, they can transform a single coin into something far more significant. The 1978 Lincoln penny belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Series, which ran from 1959 to 2008. The front of the coin features the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has become one of the most recognizable images in American currency. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of history and national identity. By 1978, this design had become deeply familiar, appearing in everyday transactions across the country. At that time, pennies were still made primarily of copper, consisting of 95% copper and a small percentage of zinc and tin. This composition gives the coin an intrinsic metal value slightly above its face value. In fact, even a common 1978 can be worth about 2 cents simply because of its copper content. While this may not seem significant, it establishes a baseline value that already exceeds the coin's original purpose. However, the real value of the 1978 penny lies not in its metal, but in its condition and its uniqueness. Coins are graded based on their level of preservation, ranging from heavily worn examples to those in perfect mint condition. Most coins found in circulation fall on the lower end of the scale, with values close to 1 cent. But coins that have been preserved in excellent condition can command much higher prices. A typical uncirculated 1978 penny might be worth a few dollars, while higher grade examples can reach values of $20 or more. In extremely rare cases, coins in near perfect condition have sold for thousands of dollars at auction. This dramatic increase in value highlights the importance of preservation and rarity in the world of coin collecting. Yet even these high-grade coins are not the most exciting part of the 1978 penny story. The true fascination comes from minting errors. These are mistakes that occur during the production process, and they can transform an ordinary coin into something unique and highly collectible. One of the most visually striking errors is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned during the minting process, resulting in a design that is partially missing. Depending on how far off-center the strike is, these coins can be worth anywhere from a few dozen dollars to several $100s. The more dramatic the error, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible. Double strike errors are another fascinating variety. These occur when a coin is struck more than once, creating overlapping images that give the coin distorted appearance. Some of these coins show 2 distinct impressions of the design, making them highly desirable among collectors. Depending on the severity, these errors can sell for hundreds of dollars. Die breaks and cuts add another layer of intrigue. Over time, the dies used to strike coins can develop cracks or even break apart. When this happens, the defects are transferred onto the coins, appearing as raised lines or blobs. Minor die breaks may only add a small premium, but larger and more dramatic examples can significantly increase a coin's value. Filled-in letters and mint marks are also common errors for 1978 pennies. These occur when grease or debris prevents metal from fully filling the design during striking. For example, a 1978 penny might have partially or completely filled a mint mark, making the letter difficult to see. These coins can sell for anywhere from $15 to $75 depending on the condition and number of repunched marks are another collectible. During this period, marks were sometimes applied by impressions of the same. This creates a visible doubling effect that collectors find appealing. Depending on the clarity of the doubling, these coins can range from modest premiums to more significant values. One of the most valuable types of errors is the wrong punch error. This occurs when a coin is struck on a blank intended for a different denomination. For example, a 1971 penny might be struck on a nickel planchette, resulting in a coin with a different size, weight, and composition. These rare mistakes can be worth thousands of dollars because of their uniqueness. Broad strike errors are another interesting variety. These occur when the collar that normally holds the coin in place during striking fails, allowing the metal to spread beyond its normal boundaries. The result is a coin that is larger and thinner than usual, with a distorted shape. These coins can sell for significant premiums depending on how pronounced the error is. Double die errors also play a role in the value of 1978 pennies. This occurs when the design is imprinted more than once at slightly different angles, creating a doubling effect in the lettering or numbers. While many double die errors for this year are relatively minor, they can still add value, especially in higher grade coins. Despite all these possibilities, it is important to understand that most 1978 pennies are still common. The sheer number of coins produced ensures that supply remains high, keeping prices low for ordinary examples. However, the key difference lies in rarity within that abundance. A single unusual feature, a small mistake, or exceptional preservation can make a significant difference in value. The historical context of the 1978 penny adds another layer of interest. This coin was produced during a time when rising metal costs were beginning to impact the production of coins. Just a few years later, in 1982, the composition of the coin changed to a significantly thin copper coin. This makes the 1978 penny part of the final generation of traditional copper coins, giving it additional significance among collectors. For many people, the appeal of the 1978 Lincoln penny goes beyond its monetary value. It represents a connection to the past,
ਦੱਸ ਬਈ ਤੂੰ ਕਿਥੇ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਨਾਲ ਸੀ ਬੰਨ
countless hands over the decades.
ਆ
Each
ਮਾਂ
coin carries its own story, shaped by where it has been and how it has been used. The excitement of coin collecting comes from the possibility of discovery. The idea that something valuable could be hidden in plain sight is what drives collectors to search through jars of coins, rolls from the bank, and old collections. The 1978 penny is a perfect example of this, because while most are ordinary, a few are truly extraordinary. Market demand also plays a
पता
role
ये
in
खाए ना तो
determining value. As more people become interested in coin collecting, the demand for rare
हाँ मामा
coins increases.
अच्छा
This
लगा
can drive up prices, especially for coins with unique features or limited availability. At the same time, values can fluctuate, making the market both dynamic and unpredictable. Grading is another crucial factor.
चार पाई कलम बा और ना रखिए सारियां
It's based on the condition and the sign.
इतने कोई ना हाँ कोई ओ ना रो और
Especially if the coins
हीरो रोटी दी वो आधा भाई जान भी
This is why collectors often seek certified coins, as they provide confidence
अरे भाई
in its authenticity and quality. The
ये ज्यादा नहीं खाते खाना छोड़ो
serves as a reminder that value is not
चल पीछे तो मैं
always
फैन
obvious.
लगा
It shows that even the most common objects can become valuable under the right circumstances. A small mistake, a rare feature, or exceptional preservation can transform an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. It also highlights the importance of knowledge. Understanding what to look for allows collectors to identify valuable coins that others might overlook. This knowledge changes the way people see everyday objects, turning something as simple as a penny into a potential treasure. As you examine your own coins, you begin to realize that the real value lies not just in the coin itself, but in the possibilities it represents. The possibility that something small and ordinary could hold hidden worth. The possibility that a simple mistake can create something unique and valuable. The 1978 Lincoln penny is more than just a piece of currency. It is a symbol of history, a product of mass production, and at the same time, a source of rare and valuable discoveries. It reminds us that value is not always determined by appearance, but by rarity, condition, and the story behind it. So the next time you find a 1978 penny in your pocket, don't dismiss it as just one cent. Take a closer look. Examine the details. Check for unusual features. Because hidden within that small copper coin could be something far more valuable than you ever imagined. look like nothing more than one cent. What if I told you that a simple 1975 D Lincoln penny could secretly be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars depending on a few hidden details? Imagine holding a coin that millions of people ignore every day, yet collectors are willing to pay serious money for it just because of a small mistake made decades ago by the end. The truth is, not all pennies are created equal, and the 1975 D Lincoln cent is one of those coins where ordinary turns extraordinary and you know exactly what to look for. This is the story of the Liberty 1 cent 1975 D Lincoln penny, a coin born in an era when billions were produced, yet a handful stand out today as prized treasures in the world of coin collecting. At first glance, it seems impossible that something so common could ever become valuable, but history, minting errors, and the passage of time have transformed certain examples of this coin into hidden gems that continue to surprise collectors. The 1975 D Lincoln penny was minted in the United States during a period when copper coins were still widely produced using a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This alone gives the coin a base intrinsic value slightly above its face value because of the copper content, although melting coins is restricted. Still, the real fascination lies not in the metal, but in the story behind how these coins were made and how small imperfections turned them into collectibles. In 1975, the Denver Mint produced over 4.5 billion pennies, each bearing a small deep mint mark beneath the date, indicating its origin. This massive production means that, in general, the coin is extremely common. Most examples found in circulation today are only worth their face value or just slightly more, often just a few cents depending on condition. But that's where the ordinary narrative ends, because within this ocean of coins lies a much more exciting reality. Condition plays a crucial role in determining the value of a 1975 D. Coins that have circulated for decades often show scratches and discoloration, reducing their appeal to collectors. However, coins that have been preserved in mint condition with sharp details and a bright red luster can command significantly higher prices. Some high-grade examples graded at the top levels of preservation can reach values of over $100 or more. Yet, even these pristine coins are not the true stars of the 1975 D series. The real excitement begins when errors enter the picture. Minting errors are essentially mistakes made during the production process, and in the world of coin collecting, mistakes often mean money. One of the most fascinating error types associated with the 1975 D penny is the double diode. This occurs when the coin's design is different in more than once at slightly different angles, creating a noticeable doubling effect on the lettering numbers. On the 1975 penny, this might appear on the date, the word liberty, or the phrase I am God we trust. Depending on the clarity and condition, such errors can increase the coin's value dramatically, sometimes reaching hundreds of dollars. Another error that collectors actively seek is the off-center striking. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned during the striking process, resulting in a design that is partially missing. The more dramatic the missing point, the more valuable the coin becomes. A moderately off-center 1975 D penny might be worth tens of dollars, while a more extreme example can climb well into the hundreds. Clipped planchet errors add another layer of intrigue. These occur when the metal blank used to create the coin is improperly cut, leaving a portion missing before the coin is even struck. The result is a coin with a distinctive curved or straight missing section along its edge. Such coins are highly collectible and can fetch substantial premiums depending on the size and shape of the clip. Die cracks and cuts are also important to consider. As minting dies wear out over time, they can develop cracks or even break partially. These imperfections are transferred onto the coins, appearing as raised lines or lobes. While minor cracks might only add a small premium, larger and more dramatic cuts can significantly increase a coin's value, sometimes reaching hundreds of dollars depending on their size and placement. One of the more unusual and valuable items is the long pouch penny. In rare cases, the 1975 penny may be struck with such as a penny. This results in a coin that looks noticeably different in size, weight, or color. These rare mistakes are highly prized and can sell for hundreds of dollars or more in higher grades. Capped die errors are another fascinating variety. These occur when a coin sticks to the die during the minting process, causing subsequent pennies to be struck with distorted or blurry designs. Some of these error coins have sold for significant amounts, especially when the distortion is dramatic and the coin is well preserved. Even smaller errors, like the so-called wheat penny, where a tiny mark appears between the letters B and the While these are generally less valuable than major errors, they still attract attention from collectors and can sell for modest premiums. Despite all these possibilities, it is important to understand that not every 1975 penny is valuable. The vast majority are still worth only a few cents. This is largely due to the enormous number of coins produced, which keeps supply high and prices low. However, the key difference lies in rarity within that difference. A single unusual feature, a tiny mistake, or an exceptional level of preservation can transform an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. The historical context of the 1975 Lincoln penny also adds to its appeal. This coin is part of the Lincoln Memorial Series, which ran from 1959 to 1959. The obverse features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse depicts the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. This design was deeply symbolic, representing American heritage and unity during a time of economic and social change. During the mid-1970s, the United States was navigating inflation, rising metal costs, and experimentation with alternative coin compositions. Although most 1975 coins still made of copper, the period marked the beginning of discussions that would eventually lead to changes in coin composition in the early 1980s. This transitional context makes the 1975 penny a broader story about the evolution of American currency. Collectors are often drawn to coins not just for their monetary value, but for the stories they tell. The 1975 penny is a perfect example of this. It represents a moment in time when billions of coins were produced for everyday use, yet a small scale of ordinary tiny exceptional preservation. The thrill of finding a penny
नहीं मैं है वो काम
jars of syrup, even old collections of family members, hoping to discover that one rare piece that stands out from the rest. The idea that such a valuable item is part of what makes coin collecting so exciting. Market demand also plays a significant role in determining value. As more people become interested in coin collecting, the demand for rare and unusual coins increases. This can drive up prices, especially for coins with unique features or limited availability. At the same time, the market can fluctuate, meaning that values are not always in control of time. Grading is another crucial factor. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on their condition and assign them a grade, which can significantly impact their value. A small difference in grade can mean a big difference in price, especially for high-end coins. This is why collectors often seek certified coins, as they provide a level of assurance regarding authenticity and quality. It is also worth noting that the appeal of the 1975 penny extends beyond its monetary value.
आवाज नहीं दे
For
रहा, सारी
many
काम कर रहा
collectors,
हूँ।
the joy comes from the process of learning, discovering,
ये
and
मम्मा
preserving
मुझे
pieces of
पता है
history.
कैसे लगते हैं।
Each coin tells
आवाज
a
पहले ही
story.
काम में ना
In
कुछ
और मुझे क्या पता,
1975,
आपने क्यों की?
section.
मैं पहले बता देते
There is something uniquely fascinating about the idea that a simple mistake during the minting process can create something valuable. It challenges the notion of perfection and highlights how imperfections can sometimes be more desirable than flawless creations. The 1975 delinquent penny serves as a reminder that value is not always obvious. It is not determined solely by what something appears to be, but by its rarity, condition, and the story behind it. In a world where most things are mass-produced and easily replaced, the idea that a small, overlooked coin can hold significant value is both surprising and inspiring. As you look at your own coins, it becomes clear that the real treasure is not just in the coin itself, but in the knowledge of what to look for. Understanding the different types of owners, recognizing the importance of condition, and appreciating the history behind each coin can transform the way you see even the most ordinary objects. The next time you come across a 1975 take a closer look. Examine the details, check for unusual features, and consider its condition. You might just discover that what you thought was worth 1 cent is actually worth much more. And that is the true magic of coin collecting. It turns everyday objects into mysteries waiting to be solved, treasures waiting to be discovered, and stories waiting to be told. That single penny lying quietly in your hand might look like nothing more than a piece of loose change. But what if that ordinary 1977 What if a tiny detail, a slight mistake, or a nearly invincible flaw can transform it into a coin collectors are willing to pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars to own? The reality is surprising, because in the world of coin small differences can be massive value.
काला मेरा घोड़ा ही
Pennies are loose coins, can suddenly become extraordinary.
देखा मेरे कैसे
This is the
ये
story
तेरा
of
घोड़ा
the
ये
living
मेरा
1 cent
घोड़ा
1977
नहीं
penny.
काला वाला मेरा घोड़ा
Produced in
आज
massive
आज
quantities,
काला
still
सोने
holds secrets that continue
नहीं
to
काला
be
मेरा
solved
वो
by
मेरा
It is a
चलो मैं
coin that
काम
represents
लगाने
a
लगी।
time and ability to be made from
चलो
yet only a few cents valuable treasures. Understanding why this happens requires looking deeper into its history, its production, and the unique areas that give it a completely different worth from its face value. The 1977 is minted in the United States in a decade, marked by the small letter D below the date. In that single
धुआं निकला भी है धुआं निकला भी है धुआं निकला भी है आइडिया
most common coins in
Guys!
circulation.
हेलो
This massive vintage coins that most examples you find today are still worth only 1 cent or just slightly more. Many can be found in circulation even today, worn down from decades of use, carrying scratches, dull surfaces, and faded details that reduce their appeal to collectors. But this is only the surface of the story. Because while billions were produced, not all a small percentage of these coins possess qualities that elevate them far beyond their face value. These qualities come from 3 main factors: condition, rarity, and minting errors. When these factors combine in the right way, the value of the 1977 D penny can increase dramatically. The coin itself belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Series, which was produced from 1959 to 2008. On the front, it features the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, one of the most recognizable figures in American history. On the back, the Lincoln Memorial stands as a symbol of unity and national identity. By 1977, this design had already become a familiar part of everyday life, appearing in millions of transactions across the country. During this time, the composition of the penny was still primarily copper, made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition gives the coin a distinctive reddish color and meaning, known Exposure to air and handling causes the surface to darken, turning red to red-brown and eventually to black. This change in color plays a surprisingly important role in determining the coin's value. Collectors categorize pennies based on this color scale. Red coins that retain their original mint shine are the most valuable. Red-brown coins are less desirable but still collectible. Coins which have fully aged are the most valuable among collectors. This means that two identical 1977 coins can have completely different values simply based on their color. Condition is measured using a grading system that ranges from heavily marked coins to those of medium and standard. A typical circulated 1977 coin may be worth a few cents. However, a high grading sample in perfect condition can be worth much more. Some mint state coins have been valued at times or even hundreds of dollars depending on their quality. In extremely rare cases, the value can be astonishing. A 1977 penny in flawless condition with full red color is sold for over $7,000 at auction. This dramatic increase in value shows how powerful condition can be in the world of coin collecting. It transforms a common coin into a rare collectible simply because so few examples survive in perfect form. But even this level of value is not the most exciting part of the 1977 deep story. The real fascination lies in the errors that occur during the minting process. These errors are essentially mistakes made when the coin is being produced, and in many cases, they create unique coins that collectors are able to find. One of the most well-known errors is the double die error. This happens when the design of the coin is imprinted more than once at slightly different angles, creating a visible doubling effect. On a 1977 penny, this can often be seen on the date, the word liberty, or the phrase I am God we trust. These errors can significantly increase the coin's value, sometimes reaching between $25 and $100 for strong accuracy. Another interesting error is the double punched mint. During the 1970s, mint marks were added by hand, which sometimes resulted in the letter being stamped backwards. This creates a noticeable doubling or shifting of the mint mark. These coins are collectible and can sell for several dollars or more depending on their condition. Off-center strikes are another type of error that collectors actively search for. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during the striking process, causing part of the design to be missing. The more off-center the coin is while still showing the full date, the more valuable it becomes. These coins can sell for anywhere from $20 to over $100 depending on the severity of the error. There are also clipped planchet errors, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a mistake in putting the metal line before striking. These coins have a distinctive curved or straight missing section far beyond which they are considered highly collectible. Their value depends on the size and visibility of the missing portion. The BIE error is another subtle but interesting variety. This appears as a small raised line between the letters B and E in the word liberty, making it look like the letter has been inserted. While this is a minor error, it is still collectible and can add a small premium to the coin's value. More dramatic errors include coins struck on the wrong planchet. For example, a 1977 penny might accidentally be struck on the blank intended for a different coin, such as a dime. These coins are extremely rare and can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars because of their unusual size, weight, or appearance. There are also die cracks and coins, which occur when the minting die is damaged over time. These defects appear as raised lines or blobs on the surface. While small cracks might only have a Larger and more noticeable ones can significantly increase the
बस आज एप्पल भी नहीं आए
एप्पल खाता ना एप्पल
possibilities.
क्योंकि वो एक एप्पल ले ली
दूध आई है
Majority of 1977 pennies are still cut. Most are worth only their face value.
की मसला है वीडियो लगी चल गया
However, the key to finding a valuable coin lies in recognizing the rare features that set certain coins apart from the rest. The historical context of the 1977 D penny also adds to its appeal. During the 1970s, rising copper prices brought the cost of producing pennies close to their face value. This economic pressure eventually led to a change in composition in 1982, when pennies began to be made primarily of zinc. This makes the 1977 penny part of the final era of traditional copper coinage, adding to its historical significance. For collectors, the appeal of the 1977 D penny goes beyond its monetary value. It represents a connection to the past, a piece of history that has passed through countless hands over the decades. Each coin carries its own story, shaped by where it has been and how it has been used. The excitement of coin collecting comes from the possibility that something valuable could be hiding in plain sight. A simple penny found in a jar, a drawer, or even in everyday change could turn out to be worth far more than expected. This sense of discovery is what keeps collectors searching and learning. The market for coins is also influenced by demand. As more people become interested in collecting, the demand for rare and unusual coins increases. This can drive up prices, especially for coins with unique features or limited availability. At the same time, values can fluctuate based on market trends, making coin collecting both a hobby and a form of investment. Grading plays a crucial role in determining value. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on their condition and assignment grade. Even a small difference in grade can result in a significant difference in value, especially in coins on scale. This is why collectors often seek certified
आपने रेड और वो वाली देखी मैंने आपने रेड
The 1977 D penny is a perfect example of how value is not always obvious. It shows that even the most common objects can become valuable in the right circumstances. A small mistake, a rare feature, or exceptional preservation can turn an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. It also highlights the importance of knowledge. Understanding what to look for allows collectors to identify valuable coins that others might overlook. This knowledge transforms the way people see everyday objects, turning something as simple as a coin into a potential treasure. As you go through your own coins, it becomes clear that the real value lies not just in the coin itself, but in the possibility it represents. The possibility that something small and ordinary could hold hidden worth. The possibility that a simple mistake could create something unique and valuable. The 1977 D Lincoln penny reminds us that value is not always determined by what something appears to be. It is shaped by rarity, condition, and the story behind it. And sometimes, the smallest details can make the biggest difference. So the next time you come across a 1977, don't just see it as one simple piece. Check the details. Examine the surface. Because hidden within that small piece of that tiny coin sitting forgotten might look like nothing more than a single cent. But what if that ordinary 1978 Lincoln penny is hiding a secret value that most people never notice? What if a small minted mistake, a slight misalignment, or an unusual detail can turn that simple coin into something collectors are willing to pay tens of thousands of dollars for? The truth is, coins like the 1978 Lincoln penny are full of hidden potential.
वैसे तो लगा दूँ मैं
Difference between a bad cent and a small fortune often comes down to the smallest details.
नहीं मांगो उसके अंदर
This is
भी
the story
चढ़वा
of Liberty Bonds, 1978.
बेटा थोड़ी स्पीक कर
Coin on millions
फिर
of
आपने दूर बैठ के देखा
the second thought, yet one that holds surprising value under the right circumstances.
यहाँ पे बैठना है यहाँ से
It is
नजर आ रहा है ना
born in an era of massive production.
मम्मी इधर मैं पैर डाली
But where a few
इधर भी ना तो इधर मेरे ऊपर
as a condition, their rarity, and most importantly, their errors. The 1978 Lincoln
मंजी तो थोड़ी सी करनी है वहाँ
क्या आवाज अच्छा अच्छा तो ये जो भी वीडियो लगी हुई है इसके अंदर चल रही है चल
making it one of the most common coins ever produced. Because of this enormous vintage, the majority of these coins are still only worth their face value of 1 cent. Many can still be found in circulation today, worn down for decades of use, their surfaces scratched and faded, their original shine. But this is where the ordinary story ends and the real fascination begins. Because while billions of these coins exist, only a small fraction possess the qualities that make them unique. These qualities are not immediately obvious, and they often require a careful eye to detect. Yet once identified, they can transform a simple coin into
चलो
something
बात
far more
और
significant.
दोबारा दोबारा
The 1978 Lincoln penny
ये
belongs to the
लगा दूं?
Lincoln Memorial Series, which ran from 1959 to 2008. The front of the coin features the portrait of Abraham Lincoln.
ये लगा
It has
देते हैं
become one of the most
Yeah.
recognized
ये लगा देते हैं
तो ये आवाज कौन सी है ये भी आपने कभी देखी इधर आ
मम्मी बस ये ना
चल अब्दुल्ला पीछे आ।
by 1978. This design
यहाँ पे बैठ के देख कर
everyday transactions across the country. At that time, pennies were still
ये बस
consisting of 95%
बाकी कौन सी आवाज आनी है
This
ठीक है भैया
composition gives the coin intrinsic metal value slightly
चल
below
इधर
its face value.
चल इधर इधर बैठ
In fact, even a common 1970
अब्दुल्ला आपने भी इधर इधर आगे नहीं
because of its power,
ए
it established
आप इधर नहीं ये अम्मा की बात है। चलो मुझे काम करने दो आप बिना इधर आओ अब्दुल्ला इधर बैठो
coins are graded based on the level of
तो
preservation.
मैंने इधर किया आगे करना मैं न उसको भी आने दे रही हूँ ठीक है नहीं मैं भाई भाई मैंने इधर काम करने इधर बैठो यहाँ से देखो इधर।
Values close to 1 cent.
तो मुझे इधर इधर से मुझसे काम नहीं हो रहा
Condition cannot A typical uncirculated 1970
चलो मैं बंद कर देता हूँ चलो ठीक है तो मैं बंद कर
higher graded coins can reach values of $20.
ये नहीं आपने उधर बैठना है
In
तुम्हें
extremely rare cases, coins in near perfect
Mama,
condition
the
are sold for
line.
thousands of dollars at auction. This dramatic increase in value highlights the importance of preservation and rarity in the world of coin collecting. Yet even these high-grade coins are not the most exciting part of the 1978 Mint story. The true fascination comes from minting errors. These are mistakes that occur during the production process, and they can transform an ordinary coin into something unique and highly collectible. One of the most visually striking errors is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned during the minting process, resulting in a design that is partially missing. Depending on how far off-center the strike is, these coins can be worth anywhere from a few dozen dollars to several $100. The more dramatic the error, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible. Double strike errors are another fascinating phenomenon. These occur when the coin is struck more than once, creating overlapping images that give the coin the story of once. Some of these coins show two distinct impressions of the design, making them highly desirable among collectors. Depending on the severity, these errors can sell for hundreds of dollars. Die breaks and cuts add another layer of intrigue. Over time, the dies used to strike units can develop cracks or even break apart. When this happens, the defects are transferred onto the coins, appearing as raised lines or blobs. Minor die breaks may only add a small pain. Larger and more dramatic examples can significantly increase the detail. Filled-in letters and mint marks are also common errors for 1978 pennies. These occur when grease or debris prevents metal from fully filling the design before striking. For example, a 1978 penny might have a partially or completely filled mint mark, making the letter difficult to see. These coins can sell for anywhere from $15 to $75 depending on the condition and the number of affected letters. Repunched mint marks are another collectible feature. During this period, mint marks were sometimes applied by hand, which could result in multiple impressions of the same letter. This creates a visible doubling effect that collectors find appealing. Depending on the clarity of the doubling,
चलो बैठ जाओ चलो बैठ जाओ
one of the most valuable types of items is the punch error. This occurs when a coin is struck with a blank intended for a different denomination. For example, a 1978 penny might be struck with nickel punch, resulting in a coin with a different
इसकी तरह बनना है ये आर्मी का थी है डॉक्टर ने
These rare mistakes can be worth thousands of dollars because of their uniqueness. Broad stripe errors are another interesting variety. These occur when the collar completely holds the coin in place during striking phase, allowing the metal to spread out beyond its nominal boundaries. The result is a coin that is larger and thinner than usual with a distorted shape. These coins can sell for significant premiums depending on how pronounced the error is. Double die errors also play a role in valuing the 1978 pennies. This occurs when the designs and printed ornaments at slightly different angles, creating a doubling effect on the lettering or the books. While many double die errors for this year are relatively minor, they can still add value, especially in higher grade coins. Despite all these possibilities, it is important to understand that most 1978 pennies are still common. The sheer number of coins produced ensures that supply remains high, keeping prices low for ordinary examples. However, the key difference lies in rarity for high coins.
के बाद इनके अंदर
The smallest or exceptional
अच्छा फिर मैं इसका मतलब है मैं बंद करता हूँ
The historical context of the 1978 This coin was produced from rising oil costs beginning to impact the production of coins. Just a few years later, in 1992, this makes the 1978 giving it additional significance. For many people, it represents a connection to the past, connecting these items to past decades.
ये देखी इधर भी चलती है मैं सीधा देखी इधर देख
The idea that something valuable can be hiding in plain sight is what drives us to search for jobs and coins, rolls from bad. The 1978 penny is a perfect example because market demand also plays a role in determining value. As more people become interested in coin collecting, this can drive up prices, especially for coins with unique features or at the same time, values can fluctuate, making the market both dynamic and unpredictable. Grading is a crucial factor. professional grading services evaluate coins based on the condition even a small difference in grade can sometimes see difference in value. This is why collectors often seek certified is not always obvious. It shows that even the most common objects can become valuable under the right circumstances. A small mistake, a rare feature, or exceptional preservation can transform an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. It also highlights the importance of knowledge. Understanding what to look for allows collectors to identify valuable coins that others might overlook. This knowledge changes the way we see everyday objects, turning something as simple as a coin into a potential treasure. As you explore the coins, you begin to realize that the real value lies not just in the coin itself, but in the possibilities it represents. The possibility that something small and ordinary could hold hidden wealth. The possibility that a simple mistake could create something unique and valuable. The 1978 Wheat Penny is more than just a piece of currency. It is a symbol of history, a product of mass production, and at the same time, a source of rare and valuable discoveries. It reminds us that value is not always determined by appearance, but by rarity, condition, and the story of it. So the next time you find a 1978 penny in your pocket, don't dismiss it as just 1 cent. Take a closer look. Examine the details. Check for unusual features. Because hidden within that small pocket is something far more valuable than you ever imagined. That tiny copper coin sitting in your pocket right now might look like nothing more than 1 cent. But what if I told you that a simple 1975 Lincoln penny can secretly be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars depending on a few hidden details? Imagine holding a coin that millions of people ignore every day, yet collectors are willing to pay serious money for it just because of a small mistake made decades ago in the mint. The truth is, not all pennies are created equal. The 1975 Lincoln cent is one of those coins where ordinary turns extraordinary without exactly what to look for. This is the story of the Liberty 1 cent 1975 Lincoln penny, a coin born in an era when billions were produced, yet a handful stand out today as prized treasures in the world of coin collecting. At first glance, it seems impossible that something so common could ever become valuable, but history, mental errors, and the passage of time transformed certain examples of this coin into hidden gems that continue to surprise collectors. The 1975 Lincoln penny was minted in the United States during a period when copper coins were still widely produced using a composition of 95% copper and 5% silver. This alone gives the coin a base intrinsic value slightly above its face value because of the copper content, although much of the coins is restricted. Still, the real fascination lies not in the name, but in the story behind how these coins were made and how small collectors turned them into collectibles. In 1975, the Denver Mint produced over 4.5 billion Lincoln pennies, each bearing a small mint mark beneath the date indicating its origin. This massive production means that, in general, the coin is extremely rare. Most examples found in circulation today are only worth their face value or just slightly more, often just a few cents depending on the condition. But that's where the ordinary narrative ends, because within this ocean of coins lies a much more exciting reality. Condition plays a crucial role in determining the value of the 1975 coins that have circulated for decades often show wear, scratches, and discoloration, reducing their appeal to collectors. However, coins that have been preserved in mint condition with sharp details and a bright red luster can command significantly higher prices. Some high-grade examples graded at the top levels of
जामे श्री
mistakes often made.
खाला दो दे जामे श्री पा रहे हैं
Types associated with the 1975 deep is the double die. This occurs when the coin's design is imprinted more than once in
बिस्मिल्लाह पर बिस्मिल्लाह है
creating a noticeable
वाला बरकतिल्लाह
Yes. 1975. This means
बट्टी आपने नहीं डालनी
the phrase
ऐसी पीते रहते
yes.
ऐसी पीते
Such
रहते
errors can increase the coin's value.
और लेना जा भी ले आप
Another error that collectors often see is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin block is not properly aligned during the striking process, resulting in a design that is partially missing. The more dramatic the missing element, the more valuable the coin becomes. A moderately off-center 1975 deep penny might be worth tens of dollars, while a more extreme example can climb well into the millions. Flipped planchet errors add another layer of intrigue. These occur when the metal blank used to create the coin is improperly cut, leaving a portion missing before the coin is even struck. The result is a coin with a distinctive curved or straight missing section along its edge. Such coins are highly collectible and fetch substantial premiums depending on the size and shape of the coin. Die cracks and cuts are also important to consider. As minting dies wear out over time, they can develop cracks or even break partially. These imperfections are transferred onto the coins, appearing as raised lines or bars. While minor cracks might only add a small coin, larger and more dramatic cuts can significantly increase a coin's value, sometimes reaching hundreds of dollars depending on their size and placement. One of the more unusual and valuable errors is the wrong planchet error. In rare cases, a 1975 deep penny might be struck on a blank intended for a different coin, such as a dollar. This results in a coin that looks noticeably different in size, weight, or color. These rare mistakes are highly prized and can sell for hundreds of dollars or more in higher grades. Capped die errors are another fascinating variety. These occur when the coin sticks to the die during the minting process, causing subsequent coins to be struck with distorted or blurry designs. Some of these error coins have sold for significant amounts, especially when the distortion is dramatic and the coin is well preserved. Even smaller errors, like the so-called where a tiny mark appears between the letters can add a collectible value. While these are generally less valuable than major errors, they still attract attention from collectors and sell for modest premiums. Despite all these possibilities, it is important to understand that not every 1975 deep penny is valuable. The vast majority are still worth only a few cents. This is largely due to the enormous number of coins produced, which keeps supply high and prices low. However, differences in rarity and relevance. A single unusual feature, a tiny mistake, or an exceptional level of preservation can transform
मैं अभी बीच कर दिखाती हूँ मैं अभी
the historical context of the 1975 Lincoln penny also adds to its appeal. This coin is part of the Lincoln Memorial series, which ran from 1958 to 2008. The obverse features the iconic portrait of Lincoln, while the reverse depicts the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. This design was deeply symbolic, representing American heritage and unity during a time of economic and social change. During the mid-1970s, the United States was navigating inflation, rising metal costs, and experimentation with alternative current compositions. Although most 1975 pennies were still made of copper, the period marked the beginning of discussions that would eventually lead to changes in coin composition in the early 1980s. This transitional context makes the 1975 penny part of a broader story about the evolution of American currency. Collectors are often drawn to coins not just for their monetary value, but for the stories they tell. 1975 D penny is a perfect example of this. It represents a moment in time when billions of coins were produced for everyday use, yet a small number escaped the ordinary path due to tiny errors or exceptional preservation. The thrill of finding a valuable 1975 D penny is in the hunt. Many collectors search through rolls of coins, jars of spare change, and even old collections inherited from family members, hoping to discover that one rare piece that stands out from the rest. The idea that such a valuable item could be hiding in plain sight is part of what makes coin collecting so exciting. Market demand also plays a significant role in determining value. As more people become interested in coin collecting, the demand for rare and unusual coins increases. This can drive up prices, especially for coins with unique features or limited availability. At the same time, the market can fluctuate, meaning that values are not always and can change over time. Grading is another crucial factor. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on the condition and assign them a grade, which can significantly impact their value. A small difference in grade can mean a big difference in price, especially for high-end coins. This is why collectors often seek certified coins, as they provide a level of assurance regarding authenticity and quality. It is also worth noting that the appeal of the 1975 D penny extends beyond its monetary value. For many collectors, the joy comes from the process of learning, discovering, and preserving pieces of history. Each coin tells a story, and the 1975 D penny is no exception. There is something uniquely fascinating about the idea that a simple mistake during the minting process can create something valuable. It challenges the notion of perfection and highlights how imperfections can sometimes be more desirable than flawless creations. The 1975 D penny serves as a reminder that value is not always obvious. It is not determined solely by what something appears to be, but by its rarity, condition, and the story behind it. In a world where most things are mass-produced or easily replaced, the idea that a small, overlooked coin can hold significant value is both surprising and inspiring. As you look at your own coins, it becomes clear that the real treasure is not just in the coin itself, but in the knowledge of what to look for. Understanding the different types of errors, recognizing the importance of condition, and appreciating the history behind each coin. The next time you come across a 1975 D penny, take a closer look. Examine the details, check for unusual features, and consider its condition. You might just discover that what you thought was worth actually and that is the true magic of coin collecting. It turns everyday objects into mysteries waiting to be solved, treasures waiting to be discovered, and stories waiting to be told. That single penny lying quietly in your hand might look like nothing more than a piece of loose change, but what if that ordinary 1977 D Lincoln penny you've ignored for years is actually hiding a value far greater than one cent? What if a tiny detail, a slight mistake, or a nearly invisible flaw could transform it into a coin collectors are willing to pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars to own? The reality is surprising, because in the world of coin collecting, small differences can create massive value, and the 1977 D Lincoln penny is one of those coins where the ordinary can suddenly become extraordinary. This is the story of the Liberty 1 cent 1977 D Lincoln penny, a coin that was produced in massive numbers but still holds secrets that continue to excite collectors today. It is a coin that represents a time when billions were made for everyday use,